Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. I'm very excited because I have a guest here with me today. So, Dasha, please introduce yourself to the Tips with Tony family.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dasha, and I'm the founder of the podcast and blog, Project Love Yourself. And I'm very, very excited to be here. So let's get started.
Yeah. So please tell everybody what it is that you do and why you do what you do. I think that's the biggest question. I like to kind of set the story straight. Everybody does something because they have a reason behind it, and I'd love to know what your reason is.
Yeah, definitely. So I started Project Love Yourself a little while back, I would say like a year and a half ago. And at first it was just a blog. So I was just sharing quotes and motivational, little tiny snippets of like self-love and what it really entails and what it can look like for each person individually. Mm-hmm. And then I had this great idea to start a podcast where I can literally talk to any person like you and I and just share their struggles, like listen to them and be inspired by their stories, because it's so easy to look at social media and read about famous people and how they struggled and, what they did. But it's, you don't hear about the normal people every day and like what they're going through and what they've done to push through it and to get better. Mm-hmm. So that's where it kind of stemmed from to me. And now it's just, I have a couple of new podcasts on the way and I'm very excited.
Yeah, I mean, your podcast is so great. Even your Instagram page is really, really great. Obviously, at the end, I'll let everybody know where they can find you. But if you want to give a quick plug, what is your name on Instagram? And the podcast is called Project Love Yourself, correct?
Yeah. So if you go on my actual Instagram, it's Dasha_ILZ. It's super easy to find. And then you could always click on the link there and it'll take you right to the podcast. Project Love Yourself is literally right there. It's super easy to find.
Yeah, and I love your page because you do practice what you preach. I noticed that you're very open about your journey. You really do the things, and we'll talk about them, but you do all of the things that are required to kind of ground yourself and to look at things with a better perspective and just a good open heart. And I think it's really beautiful. I guess my question is were you always like that? How did this come to be?
Oh, yeah. That's a great question. So I'd like to say that I was always like that, but I wasn't. Only because, I grew up very fast. I became an adult, I quote, at a very young age because I really had to take care of myself. So I was really wrapped up in working 3-4 jobs and putting myself through school. And I just didn't even know what self-love was. I didn't know what self-care was. I didn't know any of that. And then when I started getting into really toxic relationships, it kind of, I would say, forced me to look at myself in a different way and ask myself, why am I doing this? And why am I choosing these kind of people? And where is this stemming from? Mm-hmm. So I started kind of just digging deeper. And I also went to therapy. And I started learning about self-love and what it really was and how to take care of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that's where it kind of stemmed from. And, with time, I became more vulnerable on Instagram. And it's always hard because you have a lot of critics that are, very judgmental. So it's scary in the beginning to be vulnerable. But I just wanted to let other people know that there are days where you're not going to have the best hour or a couple of hours or even full day. That self-love takes time, and you can't force it. You have to learn about yourself, and that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to make mistakes. But what really matters is how we take care of ourselves during the really difficult times.
Right. Yeah. That's really, really great. Cause I've noticed, like, I think naturally when things are not going well, we actually run away from those things more, right? It's the thing we need the most, we push away.
Absolutely. It's so true, because it's so easy to say, well, all right, I'm not going to deal with this today. I'm stressed out. I'm stressed out in my personal life. I'm stressed out at work. I'm not going to deal with this today. I'm going to go have a drink. I'm going to go eat, a couple of slices of pizza. It's going to be fine. And then you keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And then it just one day blows up. So, yeah, you're definitely right. It's hard.
Yeah. So I guess what steps, since it is difficult and it is a practice, and I like that you put it that way, that it definitely takes time. And if you think about it, although I find I'm thinking, like, in other relationships, like, yeah, we can fall in lust really fast, but like real love, like a real love with somebody else, that actually does take time, and we can't force it. And so I think we have to think about that relationship with ourselves. And you said something really important in the beginning, which was that you were not even like spending time with yourself, because you're always working like multiple jobs and doing things for others. And I think part of self-love is being able to spend time with yourself. And I would love to hear from you a little bit about, like, is that in your practice, like some like solitude, or like what kind of things do you do to give yourself that attention? Because we can't give ourselves any love if we are ignoring ourselves.
Really? Yeah, no, that's so true. You have a great point there. And to be honest with you, in the very beginning, when I was kind of like in my early 20s, and I kind of was even in my late 20s, I was petrified of being by myself. I thought that if I had nothing to do on a particular weekend, if I couldn't spend it with the person I was dating or a friend, that it was the most scariest thing ever. Like, I didn't even want to be alone in a room, because I just felt so sad. And I thought that, well, I'm alone. That means like I don't have great friendships, or I don't have a good relationship, or people just, don't want to hang out with me. But then I took myself out to get some breakfast one day, and I went by myself, and it was the scariest thing ever. And I loved it, because I started seeing that I had all this control and all this power to do things for myself. And here I am having some pancakes, and I'm loving it because no one's bothering me. I'm finding some clarity. I'm able to journal. I'm able to relax and breathe and really think about the things that I need to do for myself. So spending time alone is, I think, so important, because if you are always around, well, I don't know, I'm just speaking for myself, but if you are always around people and you're always doing something for other people, you're always working, you can experience super heavy burnout.
Yeah.
And when we experience that burnout, we can get depressed, we can eat a lot, we can binge, and we can feel like we are not worthy. So spend time with yourself, journal, relax, meditate. You can, book a massage on Groupon for yourself, do things for yourself, and it'll make you feel so good, and it'll be re-energizing, and you'll be able to recharge and continue with everything else that you need to do.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times it sounds like, I think the first thing, just to play devil's advocate, someone's like, I don't have time for a massage, or like, I don't have time for that. And it's like, there's a saying, a proverb, I forget who said it, like, if you don't have time to meditate, you need to meditate for two hours. Like, if you don't have 5 minutes to meditate, you need to meditate for 2 hours. Like, that's basically like, if you're saying you don't have the time, that's the more reason why you need to do it and find the time, because chances are you're not setting boundaries and you're letting people pull from your energy. And part of it might be because you don't know how to speak up for yourself. And the other part might just be that you're scared and you're running. Like you said, like being alone in the beginning is really uncomfortable. It's really awkward. It is scary because here you are now journaling and all of a sudden things come up from your past and you're like, oh, I thought I totally squashed that. And it's like, no, maybe not.
Exactly. And also the subconscious is very tricky, and it's a very smart part of us, because things could float up from your past and you won't even realize that they're there. So, if you're not dealing with something in particular and you're just avoiding it, and on top of that, you are not giving yourself alone time and you're not taking care of yourself, then it could be a total traumatic experience for you. So it's so important to do that. And you have to ask yourself, okay, if I'm so busy that I can't give myself 10, 15 minutes just to sit in a room alone and think, then what does that say about the way that I care for myself?
Right.
What does that say about me? And how are other people looking at me? Because now people are seeing that I'm not taking care of myself, so some can walk all over me. Some won't care about my boundaries. Some won't care that I need a day for myself, or that I need respect, or that, I demand all these things. And it's a full circle, really. Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a couple things if we unpack that. I mean, I think one thing that I was thinking of was, you can literally live your entire life in circles and keep repeating the same patterns and the same behaviors. And until you learn your lesson, God, spirituality, the universe, whatever, is not going to bring you something new and refreshing that you deserve, because you're not allowing yourself to even see that you're worthy of that. Absolutely. So you're going to keep attracting these people into your life that are pulling from your energy because you're not demanding anything else. If you demand better, you will get better. But if you keep your expectations low, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, the universe, God, whoever you believe in, they know that, and it's not going to bring you what you deserve.
Yeah.
Because you don't feel like you deserve it.
Exactly.
You're not setting that expectation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've been there plenty of times, and there were I've made lists of the things that I knew I deserved. And, I have a really good friend of mine, Melissa. She's very into spiritual living in your power. And she once told me, when I was in a really difficult spot and I was experiencing all that burnout, and I was just way too much into the whole I need to work this many hours and do this, and I don't have time for myself, she was like, well, how do you expect to get a better job, or to, lose the weight that you're trying to lose, or have better relationships or friendships when you're not clearing the negative space that you have right now? And that is not giving yourself time to relax, and not journaling, and not asking the universe or whoever for what you really want, but you're not putting in the work either.
Right.
So, you can't get to the next step if you can't take care of yourself.
Yeah. It's, as you were talking, I was thinking about, you mentioned earlier, you have a lot of people on the podcast that are kind of just your everyday people going through life, struggling, trying to make, have a story or something. I'm curious, you mentioned your friend Melissa. Is there anybody that you've had on the podcast recently where their story really kind of speaks to you, or you feel like our listeners should definitely go and listen to that episode? But if you could maybe give us a snippet of either a couple highlights, or maybe just one episode that kind of stands out in your mind, a story or a suggestion that really resonated with you and you think would help the listeners.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the podcasts, all of them I love, all of the episodes I love, but so I think it's episode 2 or 3. I'd have to double check. But it's an episode with this woman named Nova. Well, she goes by Nova. And she actually was very, very heavy. I think she was just over 200 pounds. And she was basically in that huge pattern circle of eating, binge eating, emotional eating, just running from emotions, not taking, self-love seriously. And then one day she was trying to get on a bus and she couldn't get on the bus because she physically could not lift her leg to get on that step. So that was that was rock bottom for her. And that was a huge eye opener. And after that, she started working with a really great trainer, and she started digging deeper as well, because she told me, she said, look, I physically was losing the weight, but I was still emotionally not facing anything that makes me want to eat two pies of pizza. So what really resonated with me is that she would always say, like, it's okay to herself. You're gonna get through this. Like, be honest with yourself, journal, and really just take care of you. And that stood out to me so much, because I came from a culture where, like, if you weren't a size 1, something was wrong with you. So, and I was just a very curvy girl, and I still am, and I love it. But back then, to me, it was always like, oh, I can eat this food, but I'm going to eat it like in my room where nobody sees me, because I'm going to get judged, and I'm only like 11. So, and with time, I did go through the same thing she went through. I binged a lot. I ate a lot, like just emotional eating, and I never really dealt with it. So, I went through the same eye opener as well, just like in a different way. So it really did resonate with me. Yeah,
I think that's great. And I know we spoke a little bit about that you've made a lot of progress yourself, right? You've been working on losing weight. Yeah. And you joined my Healthy Living Foundation course, which I'm so grateful that you're a part of.
Which I love.
So I know, like, little bits and pieces, but if you want to maybe talk a little bit more, if you don't mind, maybe sharing a little bit more of your personal journey with weight loss and kind of where you're at now compared to where you were.
Definitely. So as I, mentioned before, I come from a culture, like a Russian culture, where, its image is really everything, especially old school. So all the women need to be thin. Like, it doesn't matter if you're sick or anorexic, you just need to be thin. So as I was growing up, I would always get bullied, but not by people I didn't know. I would get bullied by my own family. My sister was one of the people that would tell me, oh, like, it's okay to go on a liquid diet for a week. It's fine. And I was 11, 12, 13 maybe. And my body was still changing. I was still going through it. So it was just years and years and years of like, oh, like, what's wrong? Like, you're not thin. Like, oh, mom got you a sweater that's a size large, or like, mom got you a t-shirt that's a size medium. Like, you should be a small at this age, So as I grew up and as I got older, I was able to, I feel like I thought I could control what I ate because I wasn't living at home anymore. So I was just eating anything I wanted. Like, I didn't know. My mom never sat down with me and said, this is healthy, this is not healthy, take care of yourself, this is what you should eat, this is what you shouldn't. It was never like that. So here I am, and I'm making my own money, and I'm living by myself, and I can have pasta for breakfast. I can have 3 slices of pizza and a can of soda for dinner. I can do all these things, and I'm not facing my emotions. I'm not talking about it. And I think that everything's fine. And I'm just binging on and off. So I think that as I got older, I started seeing that I was like, every time I was stressed, every time I was going through a difficult relationship, I was eating. And not like, oh, I'm going to grab a salad. I was eating. Like, I'll have some pizza, then I'll have some ice cream, then I'll have some fries. And it was just never ending. So when I was in therapy, she started asking me all these questions, and I couldn't understand like why I had this emotional attachment to food until I really just went backwards. And I thought, wow, like my family used to pick on me all the time and tell me I should have been a size 1 or like a size 2. And that's when I started understanding that. So I started working out. I started journaling what I ate, because I felt like when I went into that, and we talked about it before, you and I, when you go into that like emotional stress eating, mm-hmm. you become almost robotic. Mm-hmm. So you don't think about it anymore. You're just eating. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a psychological and like mechanical thing that you're doing. And then when you're done, you're like, oh, wait, like I really ate all of this? Oh my God, I feel horrible. I feel depressed. Like I'm a horrible person. Mm-hmm. That was always the cycle. Mm-hmm. So once I started writing down what I ate, and I had like that accountability to like look at everything I was eating, I started just journaling how I felt during those moments.
Hello, I'm interrupting this podcast with a special offer for you. So excited because there is a new platform out there for you, for anybody that is looking to lose weight and wants to work out but doesn't know what workouts to follow. Maybe you're afraid of going to the gym, you have a little gym intimidation, you don't know what to do with the weight racks, and you don't know what to do with the equipment. Well, don't worry, I have a solution for you. I have partnered up with WLWorkouts.com. So you go to WLWorkouts.com, discount code TONY10 to get 10% off a 4-week or 12-week workout plan. And it comes with a whole guide as well as YouTube videos to show you how to use the equipment. It's mostly strength training. So if you're new to weights, particularly for the ladies, I would strongly encourage it. It's a great jumpstart for the year. Pretty positive they're on sale now for about $20 or less for the 4-week, and the 12-week, I believe, is like $24. I know that that's not the usual price, but there's a special for January. So I will just say that the special, it does expire. This using the discount code. This is only a promo for January. So I just pulled up the site right now, actually. Should have probably did that before. So usually the price of the 4-week or 12-week workout plan is around $65, but it's a special right now for the month of January. It's only $19.61, so it's about $20 in US, and you get 10% off when you use discount code TONY10. So it's definitely worth it, especially if you're new to working out. But even if you're not, I totally am going to take this to the gym with me to supplement the other workouts that I do. But if you want, obviously, you're going to get the most out of it by following it from the beginning till the end, and also obviously making sure you're paying attention to your nutrition. So if you need help with that, let me know. All right, guys. Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
So after that, I started kind of just finding new hobbies in a way when I was stressed. So the gym really helped. I started running a lot. And it's a battle. Like, it doesn't go away.
Right.
It's something that you have to work through.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And like you mentioned in one of your modules, the stress eating one that I really love. You mentioned like kind of turning that around, and instead of going for the pizza or the can of soda, you go for the hummus and carrots, or like, take a couple of deep breaths and like be mindful of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Know that it's okay, but also like you still have that control to do better, to eat better. Mm-hmm. It's all right to eat. Just try to make better choices. Mm-hmm. And it's a process. So you work through it.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are real. Thank you, first of all. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know a lot of people are going to resonate with what you just said. But I think the biggest takeaway from that is, yes, it's a process. And sometimes you remove the trigger of stress by having an outlet not related to food. Right. And sometimes food is still that outlet. But like you said, sometimes it's at least taking a few moments to really think about, just to stop and think. Yeah. Because we all know once you're in it, it's almost like there's always a point to turn back, even when you're in the middle of it. You always have the opportunity to turn back, but sometimes we don't. So try not to get into that moment where you're forgetting everything before it gets to that place of kind of where you feel like there's like no return, even though there always is. So I always tell people, even in the middle of a binge, you could have an improvement. So I do want to just say that a lot of times when I work with clients one-on-one or those that are in the course, it's basically helping you to you're never going to not be an emotional eater. You're a human being, right? It's never going to make it go away. Some of us experience it more frequently, a little bit more where it gets involved, like it gets in the way of our goals than others. The goal is never to make it go away, but to have it happen less frequently. Mm-hmm. And then when it does happen, to it be better than it was before. Yeah. So an example of that is if you're somebody who tends to binge eat 2 to 3 times a week, and we get you to a place where you're only doing it once a week, right. And then when you are doing it, you have a healthier choice instead of having like something that you normally would go for. That's progress.
That's a victory.
Yeah, that's really, that's a lot of progress. And I think because we are in a society where we feel like everything needs to be perfect, mm-hmm. we feel like that's not enough, but it is enough.
Right.
And I think that we really need to make do a better job at like saying to yourself, going back to Nova, where she would like kind of give herself credit. And she said, I'm doing the best that I can.
Yeah.
Like, we have to remember that you're doing the best that you can.
Yeah. And
it's all you can ask of yourself.
Absolutely. And also like, I think the biggest triggers for me were relationships and being in very toxic ones, because I grew up in a family where, I really didn't have an example of like what a healthy relationship was. So I was always searching for something that I had no idea. I just wanted to be the fixer and I wanted to feel wanted. Mm-hmm. I was the fixer for a really, really, really long time where I would give, and I would get like maybe 3% or 1% in return. But you were used to that. So for you, it felt normal. Yeah, it was so normal. And I was burnt out, and all I did was binge. Because that was the comfort. That was the safety blanket. Mm-hmm. That was the one thing that I couldn't control. Mm-hmm. So, and that's why I always say like, it's not just one thing. Mm-hmm. Each thing is correlated to something else. Mm-hmm. That's why you have to dig deep. And yeah, it's traumatic and it's painful, but you get through the closet of skeletons now. So in a year or 2 years or 3 years, you won't have to deal with that anymore.
True.
You'll be more mindful and you'll be able to learn and adapt to newer techniques that give you a more healthier safety blanket in a way.
Yeah. Wow. This is really, really powerful stuff. I want you to know that like I feel like I'm talking to myself in the mirror. I'm like, yep. It's crazy because we feel like we're alone and we're so not. We're so not alone. Like we all have our own, we're very unique, we're very special in our own way. We went through our own battles in different ways, but we all have very similar struggles.
Absolutely.
Very similar struggles.
Absolutely. And it's also, it's learning how to trust yourself, and it's learning like when you are better, how to move into a relationship and not be triggered, and how to learn how to be present and not go back to or compare to your past, because you have to have faith in yourself. You have to trust that now you are better and you are healed and you're a different person. Mm-hmm. So I've always correlated food to relationships, but now No, it's very different.
Yeah, well, that's a really good point. Is we want to get, I think, everybody to a place where like food is food and relationships are relationships, and they're not together. Like, yeah, they might sometimes intertwine, but realistically, that you. One thing I say, and I don't know if you got to that module yet, it's the very last module. It's all about like support and being influenced by others and setting barriers and stuff like that. And I tell people, I say this all the time, the more you love your decisions, the less you need other people to love them. So if you find yourself in a relationship where they're easily able to trigger your eating, or they're eating pizza in front of you, and not that you can't have pizza, but now you didn't want pizza and now you feel like, oh my God, now I have to have it. Like, no, you don't. Like, you have to be able to feel confident in your decisions, so much so that other people don't influence what you're doing.
Yeah. And you also have to, and that's a great way. I like that you brought that up, because like, that's a great way to see how your partner supports you. Mm-hmm. Because like, for example, the person I'm dating, if I say, oh, okay, well, this week I'll kind of lay off on like the heavy carbs. I'll stick with healthier carbs, and we're going out to dinner. He'll look up a restaurant that is healthier versus a restaurant that he knows everything on the menu is super, super, super carby and unhealthy.
Right.
So, and, you know, these are things that you can pay attention to. Like, is your partner supporting you?
Yes.
In those little baby steps that you're trying to do?
Yes. And love that. Thank you for sharing that. Also, I think a lot of times what I know personally, like I struggled with is, that's great, they're supportive and all that, but it's also a test to you. Because I know the old me would be like, no, it's fine. Like, wherever, I'll make it work. I'll figure it out. It's like, no, why should you have to if you have someone who's willing to meet you halfway? So sometimes it's not always the other person. Sometimes it's you being able to speak up for yourself.
Absolutely.
And if they don't, and because I think the reason why I wouldn't do that is because I would think that they wouldn't like me, or they would be disappointed, or they would be angry. And like, okay, so if they are, what does that tell you? Like, there's something to be said there, and like, that's okay. That person's not for you doesn't make them good or bad. They're just not for you.
Exactly. That's so true, because, you know, I went out to a dinner with my boyfriend and his family a couple of weeks ago, and they were all drinking like heavy liquor. And I could have easily said, oh yeah, fine. Like, I'll have a couple of shots with you guys or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I chose for myself, because I thought about, okay, I'm going to have this liquor, and then tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to feel some type of way. Nobody's going to be feeling this but me. You know? So sometimes it's good to think ahead.
Yeah.
And say,
always. Like, it's always good to think ahead.
Like, okay, I'm going to eat all of this today, but tomorrow when I wake up, like,
yeah,
how are you going to feel, Dasha?
Yeah. Or 20 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, totally. Always think ahead. Always think ahead. And it'll save you. It's like giving up that immediate satisfaction for that long-term satisfaction. That's the goal. It's like being able to push through those hard moments, that discomfort, but it's all about to bring you to a better place at the end. Absolutely. Awesome. Okay, so any other questions or things that you want to share with our listeners? Any other topics before we kind of wrap up?
I just, I think, well, first of all, this was so great. So thank you for thinking of me.
Oh, my pleasure.
But I just want to, whoever is listening, whoever is going to listen, I just want them to encourage to listen to all of your little episodes.
Oh, thank you.
They're all great, and it's so much great info. And I find myself like during very stressful moments, I find myself like just pressing play on a couple of those and just being like, okay, right, being mindful, healthy snacks, meal prep. This is important. Also, just I just want to say that whatever journey you're in, just take your time and be kind to yourself, and like learn self-forgiveness, because that's important too. Mm-hmm. If you can't forgive yourself in like the really difficult moments, then you can't really move forward to the next step of healing. So just be mindful, love yourself, take care of yourself, and, listen to our podcasts.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, that was amazing. So tell people again, where can they find you on Instagram and what's the name of your podcast? And I will put it in the show notes.
Awesome. So my podcast is Project_Love Yourself. You can find it on Spotify, iTunes, Anchor, Google, whatever you listen to, it's there. And you can also go to my personal Instagram page, Dasha_ILZ, and the link will be right there. And feel free to follow, feel free to DM me. I'm an open book. I'm a very vulnerable person. So, nothing is off limits.
Yeah, you actually asked me one of the best questions when you had me on your podcast. It came out of nowhere, and I think it was because I was talking to you, and you were like, how do you want to be this year? Like, how do you want to show up as a woman? And I was like, I just want to be more vulnerable, and I've been that way.
Yeah.
And I just so thank you, because you really did open that up in me. So I know you also have something coming out. Probably this podcast is going to be coming out in the beginning of January. So tell everyone also too, I know right now, which also guys, this is just something you do because you care.
Yeah.
Right now. And that's what I did with Tips with Tony. And then I made it a business because why not make money doing what I love? But I do want you guys to know, you do the podcast on the side, you do the blog on the side, you're not getting anything from it. You genuinely just have a really good heart, which is amazing. But I'm really proud of you because I think you're working towards slightly kind of having somewhat of a business. So if you want to just kind of share what that is so people can work with you or learn more from you, I think it would be awesome.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go full force with something called Chats with Dasha. So basically it's a one-on-one that you can book with me through video or through phone, whatever you're comfortable with, where we can have the personal chats and we can just talk. You can vent to me. There, is a non-disclosure agreement, of course, that I sign and send to you that none of the information that you share with me will ever be out anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always good. And it kind of fits with everything that I do. I have a degree in psychology and mental health certificate too for coaching. So I really just believe in that wellness side of things. So it's coming in January. You can book a chat with me, whether it be a 10-minute chat, 20-minute chat, 30-minute chat. And, I'm just here to help and here to listen.
I love that so much. I'm so excited for you. You guys, please follow her. Please reach out to her. Love your energy. I love everything about you. I'm so excited. You have no idea. Since I have you here, before we wrap up,
okay,
do you mind just sharing with people a little bit about what you learned from the Healthy Living Foundations course? And what would you say to someone who's maybe on the fence with getting it?
Okay, so first of all, don't be on the fence. It's a great investment. I love the Foundations course because one, you have that section of accountability. So there's this place on the app that maybe a couple of you already know about, the ones that are already taking it. Where you can share your journal entries with Tony. And
nobody sees it but me.
Yeah, nobody sees it but Tony. But also the coolest thing ever that I've never seen anywhere before actually is that when you're having a rough time, Tony can actually comment on your journal entry and be like, it's okay. Here, do these steps. Maybe this will help. Mm-hmm. And I think that's so amazing because you're on these other apps like the Fitness Pal app or other apps for journaling, and you really don't have that one-on-one personal touch. Mm-hmm. So it's so great to have somebody just comment. For example, one of the days I was having a really rough day, and I found that I was kind of almost on binge mode. So I kind of just wrote down a quick little journal entry and I was like, oh, today was hard. I ate these things and I'm not proud of it. And Tony was able to comment right away also, by the way.
I know my clients, even my clients are how do you live on the app? I'm no, I just love you guys. I really appreciate the fact that I respond quickly.
Yeah, I was like, wow, okay, this was fast. Great. So I don't have to wait 3 days for somebody but like, that's the amazing part of it. And all the modules are so helpful. Like, I relate to each one, especially the one about emotional eating. And it's well informed. It's not too much information, but it's not too little. And it's just basically, it's perfect. Like, I would not hesitate at all. Do it.
Thank you so much. What is the biggest thing, and then we'll wrap up, what is the biggest thing that you've learned so far through doing the course? Or one thing you're really proud of yourself for? Let's do that.
Ooh, okay. So meal prepping. Like, I was not as consistent before, but I realized that it's so simple. So I was like, wow, this could really work. This is so easy. Like, and your course really taught me that part. Like, meal prepping is cool. Like, it'll take like 20, 15 minutes, like, get it together and just do it,
Yes.
Like, you'll love it. So I always meal prep now, and it's been a life changer, really.
Yay.
Yeah. So thank you.
Oh, well, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for your feedback. You're amazing. You guys, please follow her. Thank you. I'm going to be mindful of your time. If you guys are not already subscribed to the Tips with Tony podcast, please subscribe. A new episode comes out every Monday and every Wednesday. And if you really enjoyed this episode, please screenshot it, share it on your story, and tag me and tag Dasha. And thank you so much. As always, I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.